Yesterday, for more than 100 kilometres, Tour of Spain winner Melchior Mauri tried to make an impression on this year's Tour de France. He didn't, and Soviet Dmitry Konishev won in Aix-les-Bains. The leader, Miguel Indurain, remained the man in the driving seat, set fair now for Paris. Hello again and welcome to Aix-les-Bains. The riders now facing the last 3 days of this year's Tour de France. 20 days ago in Lyon, 198 riders faced up to that prologue time trial. Today, 158 will set out towards Mâcon. The leader of the Tour is Miguel Indurain. This is the general classification this morning. In second place, Gianni Bugno, 3 minutes 9 seconds back. Claudio Chiappucci is third. Charles Motte of France is fourth. Luc Leblanc is fifth. And of the rest, Laurent Fignon, sixth. Andy Hampson of America, 7th. Greg LeMond a little bit closer to Indurain this morning after that ride yesterday, but still 12 minutes and 25 seconds behind. Gerard Rouet is 9th and Eduardo Chozas is 10th. It's exactly a week today since Miguel Indurain took over the lead in the Tour de France in the Pyrenees. Since then, he's proved to be a great leader of this race, defending well through the Alps and, of course, through the bad weather. Now, here's Paul Sherwin to examine the riding style of the man who will, on Sunday, become the new star of Spain.
Miguel Indurain does not conform to the style of the typical Spanish rider we've become accustomed to. These riders have been small in build and pure climbers. Theoretically, due to his height, 6 foot 2 inches, and his weight, 12 stone 2 pounds, he should not be a man for the mountains. However, he takes advantage of a relaxed style to achieve a faultless riding position. He sits well back in the saddle with his weight evenly distributed throughout the bike. Despite a long back, his flexibility allows him to keep a low streamlined position when necessary. But one of his biggest assets is his ability to ride under pressure without revealing any pain in his face. By doing this, his challengers cannot gain any information as to his physical state or when he's in difficulty. For an aspiring cyclist, Indurain's style is surely one to copy.
And this is the route today, 160 kilometres, that's exactly 100 miles. And just the small climbs, the biggest of them all is the Col de Bertillon, and then the race running almost downhill right through into Mâcon, and no real challenges for the riders today. And that's the way the riders saw it too after the rollout from Mâcon. They came on to the first climb after 56 kilometres, the Col de la Cheminée. Chiappucci again beating Clavarola, and it really does look as though Chiappucci is the best climber in this year's race. On the Col du Bertillon, after 84 kilometres, Chiappucci again first over the top, Clavarola second, and Gianelli was in third place. Then, because of the slow pace, the inevitable crash, and after 100 kilometres, Valerio Tebaldi of the Gatorade Chateau Dax team took a very nasty tumble indeed. But after the doctors made sure that his head wasn't too badly injured, he got back on his bike, but he now continues quite a long way behind what is a compact field. This is the field now. They've just come through Bourg-en-Bresse, and as always, the attacks are beginning. Before we go down to the action, just 2 questions today from you. You've asked why are there so many motorbikes on the race. You're aware that 2 of them carry our cameras, 3 in fact carry the television cameras, but the other riders, well, a lot of them are live radio with the reporters on the back of the bikes calling the race live. Others are photographers. There is, of course, the blackboard man who tells both the bunch and the breakaway the time gaps between each, and the other motorbikes carry the race referees, which are referred to as commissaires. And what has happened this year, you say, to the red Sprints jersey, the Combine jersey, and the white Neophyte jersey? Well, the answer is they've been dropped from the Tour to try and make it a little easier to understand. So, Paul, down to the action.
Well, these 4 riders have just moved clear of the break of the chase. They're 20 seconds clear at the moment. The riders in this group are Rick van Slyke, the rider at the back at the moment from Lotto. Marc Sergeant is the rider at the front from Panasonic, and also the TVM rider Vasily Zhdanov and Brian Holm from Histor.
And it looks as though we've got the sprinter coming on the back here, Jamolian Abdujaparov, just joining the back of the chasing group here, and they're working extremely hard. One or two ripples as we go down into Macon, but it's basically a very flat finish indeed. As we look here now at the face of Rick van Slyke, very briefly, Marc Sergeant, and Brian Holm on the far side, who used to be known as Brian Sorensen, but that was the name which he actually dropped a couple of years ago because there was also Rolf Sorensen. So he's using his other name now, which is Brian Holm. Although the organisation slipped back a couple of years 2 days ago when they referred to Brian Sorensen being in the lead. 1 minute to this leading group now, so the time is going up very quickly, Paul, and that is because for some reason the main peloton started to freewheel.
Well, they were quite satisfied for this break to move clear, and I don't think anybody wanted to chase. In fact, this rider from Lotto in the breakaway, I think, is Henrik Redant, although the number that was given out over the race radio was that of Rick van Slyke.
Well, it looked like the boxer's face of Henrik Redant. He's a tough cookie from Belgium. He had a lot of bad luck in Paris-Roubaix this year when he was alone in the lead by 40 seconds, something like 15 kilometers to go to Roubaix, and he had a back wheel puncture. Really bad luck indeed. And there's confirmation of that. Zhdanov, Sergeant, Redant and Holm, the four leaders. They've only just gone away as the field came across Bourg-en-Bresse. The field split into two, and then this little breakaway has started to make some progress.
Very good group forming here, but the group that's chasing behind is a strong group also, with Abdujaparov, now that we're back on the flat stage, is really trying to get up there and get his maximum number of points to make sure that when he goes to Paris he has the green jersey. The team on the front there, just going out of sight, was the Banesto team, who are making the tempo at the front of the main field. Not too hard a tempo at the moment because there's nobody of any danger away.
Santa Remita from the Gatorade team, one of their riders riding off the back at the moment, Valerio Tebaldi, who's won 2 stages in previous Tours de France. Took a very nasty fall early on. At the moment, the field heading for a record-size finish in Paris. 158 riders left. Last year was a record, 156. So just 2 riders more at the moment, but Tebaldi now looking as though he might be in a spot of bother.
Well, that chasing group with Abdujaparov, who we just see here in the green jersey, have been caught behind by another group of riders, and now this group is a little bit too big and nobody wants to continue with the chase. So I think it won't be very long before they're caught by the main field.
Well, the long straight road ahead, always unfortunate if the riders on the attack are in sight, but right now they appear to have gone over the hill. This is Steve Bauer just passing to the left of our picture, and still plenty of riders willing to attack. TVM team pushing very hard, confident after that great win yesterday by their team man Dmitry Konishev. And the rider from the TVM team doing all the work here is in fact Konishev again at the front, so quite clearly now he's feeling he's finishing this tour in top condition.
A rather strange move for Konishev to do, actually, because he's got a teammate in the breakaway group at the moment. Vasily Zhdanov is up there, so I can't understand why he's actually helping this breakaway.
Well, he may not realise, of course, he is actually up front. He may think, Paul, that this is the leading group.
He may well do, but one man who's sure to know is Phil Anderson, because we can see here, if you look at Phil Anderson's ear, he's actually got the two-way communication that Motorola are trying out. In fact, he's touching his helmet there because that's the switch to activate the microphone to talk back to the team car.
Well, let's hope he can hear, because when Greg LeMond tried it, he couldn't hear what his team manager was saying. But there's Phil Anderson there, and the little group trying to sort out the chase pattern at the front. And this is back up with the leaders now. Vasily Zhdanov on the far side, winner this year of the Grand Prix Pinot Cerami. I think it was in Belgium, just joined the Spring Classic season. There's Henrik Redant. The Lotto team having a mixed tour this year. Their top man, Johan Bruneel, has not come up with the goods at all. And their top sprinter, who was lying second in the points and giving Abdujaparov a real run for his money, he retired 6th, and they've lost 3 of their 9 men now.
It was a bitter blow to them losing Johan Museau, because I'm quite sure that he would have been able to win at least a stage before we got up to Paris, because he was challenging Abdujaparov in the sprint. In fact, he was probably the only man who could.
Museau was the winner of 2 stages last year, narrowly beaten for the green jersey then by Olaf Ludwig. There's the new green jersey this year. Abdu Japarov Museo, hopefully, will have recovered from his intestinal problems and will be riding the Kellogg's Tour of Britain, which starts a week next Tuesday. As we look down here now at the Ariosto, I think that was Alberto Elli who was setting the pace at the front there in the chase. So there's still a lot of racing to come. We're about 35 kilometres from the finish at the moment. The time gap is 35 seconds to the group we're looking at and 1 minute back to the main peloton, which includes the yellow jersey, Miguel Indurain. So we'll take a short break.
In fact, in one pre-war race, the great rider Eugene Christophe broke his front forks on the Col de Tourmalet, carried his bike 11 kilometres to the nearest town and repaired them at a local blacksmith shop. And he was disqualified by the commissaires for having the blacksmith work the bellows for him. Nowadays, of course, it's completely different, and no rider takes to the road without a big backup team.
The most obvious piece of on-road insurance is a spare bike, and between them, the two team service cars allowed in the race carry one for every rider. They also carry mechanics for on-road adjustments and emergencies. A good mechanic will have a rider back on the road after a wheel change in around 9 seconds. Already in place up ahead at that night's team hotel will be the equipment trucks, mobile bike factories which carry everything from chain rings to welding gear. With nowhere else to go, the mechanics set up alfresco cycle workshops in the hotel car parks, which is great for the curious public, but not so much fun for them.
Every day, people come and ask the same question. 20 times an hour, perhaps 40 times an hour. They ask always the same question. And when we say, oh, stop the questions, ask the questions, the people don't like it.
A good mechanic, though, is capable of much more. Julien was brought to Zurich by Greg LeMond after they'd worked together at his previous team, ADR. And along with designer Boone Lennon, he's actually been making structural changes to Le Mans handlebars during the tour.
We do make changes. We make position changes as Greg LeMond requests those. It may mean changing the stems or the reach of the bars. Last year, actually, I came over equipped to bend handlebars. And this year, I didn't bring that equipment with me. We're pretty well set up.
On the tour, a mechanic's workload can mean spending up to 18 hours a day with the bikes, or for the really conscientious, even longer.
I understand you don't just leave the bikes in the truck, Greg's bikes.
No, the bike from Greg go every evening sleep with me, sleeping in my room. He sleeps with me, that's my roommate.
Why's that?
Why, 4 years ago, the last day she's still in the hotel, clothes and everything, still the bike from Neddy Plankert, and then I say, that's finished, no more.
Well done, Julian. And by the way, I keep my bike in the bedroom as well. We're looking down now at the main field in the Tour de France, and they have in their sights just about 5 seconds in front of them those 4 breakaway riders, and we've just gone under the 10 kilometres to go banners. So it looks, Paul, as though the sprinters are being brought up there, the 4 chasers, and if this race does result in a bunch sprint, it'll be the first time since stage 7.
It will be an exciting sprint as well, because Abdu Zaparov's been winning the sprint so easily, but there are 1 or 2 other sprinters in there who would like to get their revenge, like Laurent Jalabert, and also 1 or 2 of the riders from Buckler would like to try and get away, I should think.
Well, there's Zhdanov. He still wants the other 3 to continue. Brian Holm looks round over his shoulder, but they've seen the peloton. Here they are. And Carrera, Buckler, and Toshiba are the teams now trying to bring their sprinters into play. And Abdu Japarov, the demon sprinter of them all. It would be nice to see how he copes with the main field after a break of something like 2 weeks.
Well, we haven't seen him sprinting for the line too much recently, but there's a breakaway here just at the right time when the break is being caught. The break now absorbed by the main field. And this is Henrik Redant from Lotto, who's just going to try his arm and see if he can possibly hold on. There's not too far to go, 8 kilometres, but I think the rest of the field will chase him down.
The lone figure of Henrik Redant trying to desperately hang on, but the field surely won't get this close and allow him to go. And we've got Edwig van Hooijdonk, I think it is, trying to get across to the leading group here from the Buckler team. It's rather like a replay of the Paris-Roubaix with these 2 riders in the breakaway back in April. Well, this is a big effort, and of course if Buckler get the man in the lead, this will be their tactic for the day, and then they'll put the brakes on if they can back in the main field. They've had a surprisingly quiet tour this year. They've only won one stage, which they won right out in the first week of the tour at Valenciennes with Jelle Nijdam. And the big man with the long, thin legs, Edwig van Hooijdonk, bridging the gap to Hendrik Redant, and he'd be pleased about that.
Well, Van Hooijdonk's been riding exceptionally well because he actually took part in the chase to try and catch that four-man breakaway, and as soon as the junction was made, he was the man who launched an attack, and here he's now caught Hendrik Redant, and he's going to try and keep going to the finish, but Redant will be very sore. He'll have very sore legs because he's been away for some time now. If we can have a look back down, and it looks as if it's all over for these riders. It's Carrera, Bontempi on the front there. There is Jelle Nijdam coming up to Etienne de Wil. They're also thinking about the sprint. Strange tactic of some of these teams here because they've assisted each other to try and pull the breakaway back together, but not one team now will assume control of the field, which is why we're getting these small breaks going away. This looks like it's Rik van Slyke jumping clear here.
So the Lotto riders looking for a stage win. They could certainly do with one. Only 6 riders left in the team, but Van Slyke sitting up under the escort of the boys in white, the Carrera team. They are the teammates, by the way, of the rider in the green jersey, Jamaluddin Abdujaparov, and they know if they can keep this little lot together for the sprint finish, then the little flyer from Tashkent should cope with them all in the sprint. It's not the wisest thing in the world to ride too close to the Soviet when he starts sprinting, because he throws his bike anywhere he isn't. And the Panasonics, without a stage win in this Tour de France, and I haven't checked this, but I think over the years they've always won at least one stage, the team managed by Peter Post and Walter Plankett, but they've had a very poor tour indeed. Olaf Ludwig, the winner of the green jersey last year and the winner of the stage at Besançon, hasn't even looked like winning this year. Now the Buckler team launching down the far side, Lotto and Panasonic, and Carrera's immediately jumping the train.
Looks like Solovell there jumping clear. He noticed straight away he's got one of the Lotto riders in his wheel there. That's Patrick Verschuren, and there was another rider too there, I think. One of the Panasonic riders.
Yeah, this one is Mauricio Fondes, I think, Paul, who's just tried to jump across there with them. And look at the way they're snaking now as we go into the 5 kilometres to go banner, as the sprinters are trying to hold their positions while the domestics are trying to set the pace and the opportunists are trying to break away. And that was Etienne de Wilde there fending off one of the riders to try and make some space for himself in the peloton. This is the sort of finish today, not for the nervous in the Tour de France. The best thing to do is to get out of it and sit at the back of the bunch and let the sprinters get on with it, because they can sense now that they are going to have their day, and they haven't had such a day since Jean-Paul Van Poppel won the stage down into Argentin. And of course Van Poppel, one of the 6 riders of PDM when they all pulled out. As we head in towards the finish, just a couple of kilometres from the end, it's a very good finish today. It's built for the sprinters, but there's always the chance the opportunists will slip away off the front, and those who hesitate may have lost the stage.
I think the Panasonic rider there was Yaroslav Ekimov, who's tried again as we go with 3 kilometres to go. He's tried again to move clear.
So Ekimov trying to salvage what the sprinters on his team have yet been unable to accomplish, and that's take a stage in the Tour de France. And Ekimov, if anybody has got the speed, this man has. When he came through the Russian senior amateur team, he was ripping around the world, and he was the fastest man. Everybody talked about him then. They put him on the track in the pursuit. He won the world title. He took, I think it was 6 or 7 world track records. He now holds the professional world hour record as well. He's a superb cyclist with pure speed, but since he's turned professional, he's found, of course, other duties, and that's blunted his speed a little bit. Now there's a chance, though, to show to everybody just how fast he can ride this bike if they give him the chance to get away. And with about 1.5 to 2 kilometres to go, Vyacheslav Ekimov is clear of the field, and the Carreras are leading the charge for Abdujaparov after him.
There's the red kite just above him. He's got 1 kilometre to go. He'll give everything he's got now, just like he would in the last kilometre of a World Championships.
1,000 metres, Paul, in his amateur days. He could do that in 59 seconds. I doubt whether he'll do that on the open road here, but he shouldn't be far outside. I'd love to know this last kilometre time of Yekimov, but I would expect him to do it in around 1 minute and 6 or 1 minute and 7 seconds. He's still checking over his shoulder, and he can't believe he's holding off the field, and we've no idea anymore where the field is because our camera is staying with Yekimov. That's a good sign that he's holding them off. And so Panasonic have waited a long time for a victory in a stage of the Tour de France, but he's going to do it this time. He's ridden the whole Tour de France off his back wheel today, just as he used to do as an amateur. And finally, he's going to have his big day. This will go down as his finest victory as a professional. World Pursuit champion he may be, but now he is a champion of the road, and that, for all professional cyclists, is the real glory of professional riding. And look at his face now. He salutes the crowd. Vyacheslav Yekimov, the champion today of the Tour de France. Terrific applause here from him. And the peloton, and Abdu Japarov sweeping up from the inside. Oh, and I think he got pipped. I think Olaf Ludwig made it a Panasonic 1-2. So Olaf Ludwig would have won the sprint anyway. Panasonic first and second today, and Abdu Japarov will have to be content with a third, while Miguel Indurain really didn't matter to him at all. Who won? He stays the leader of the Tour de France. Well, after Yekimov crosses the line, watch the sprint here for second place. It really is between the boy in green, Abdu Japarov, and Olaf Ludwig. And as they come right onto the line now, it looks to me as though Ludwig is close, but I think Abdu Japarov will have pipped him right on the line.
What a superb ride today by Vyacheslav Yekimov. He holds 4 amateur world records and 1 professional. He is the reigning professional pursuit champion. He showed that to us today. He beats the peloton by 7 seconds, led home as usual by Jamaluddin Abdu Japarov, ahead of Ludwig in 3rd place, Colotti 4th, and Laurent Jalabert in 5th. It's a week now since Miguel Indurain pulled on his first yellow jersey. He's on the podium again tonight, and just the final weekend to come. No change overall. Indurain leading Bunyo by 3 minutes 9 seconds, 3rd Claudio Chiappucci, 4th Charlie Motte, and 5th Luc Leblanc. Well, straight after the finish, Paul Schoem is away from my side, down alongside the world professional pursuit champion Vyacheslav Yekimov.
Yeah, today was a stage, and during the stage I was singing about a victory. And I hope I'll be trying to do something in the last 2-3 cases. And I think I make good jobs in the final.
But it's very difficult. Were you convinced all the time that you could stay away because the peloton was riding at 60 kilometers an hour?
I know that the last, normally my race is 5 km and from the track. And the last 2-3 km I can ride like some teamer, you know, in the same speed. It's possible for me. Of course, it's my first great victory, and I hope it's just started.
Well, I wonder if Yekimov will try and win the time trial stage tomorrow, because you know he can ride a very good individual test. But one man who must answer the call for the final time is Miguel Indurain, the leader of this tour. He knows if he's still in yellow tomorrow night, then he will certainly win this race in Paris on Sunday. Gianni Bunyo tomorrow must do the ride of his life. Join us tomorrow night at 6:30 to see who will win the time trial. Till then, from Paul, Gary and myself, a very good night to you.